Imagine stepping into Rome, a city just full of ancient mysteries, and you come face to face with this massive stone mask.
Huge thing.
Yeah, and it's not just any old carving. It's wrapped up in this pretty chilling medieval legend.
Mm-hmm.
The story goes, it'll bite off the hand of anyone who dares to lie while their hand is, inside its mouth.
Right, the classic tale.
And believe it or not, this isn't just some grim fairy tale. It's a real artifact, a real piece of history that still draws huge crowds today.
Absolutely. People queue up for it.
So today, we're taking a deep dive into this captivating relic, the Bocca della Verità, or the Mouth of Truth.
That's good.
We're gonna, journey through its ancient origins, try and unravel the legends that made it so famous.
Yeah.
And then look at how a bit of Hollywood magic really turned it into a global icon.
Mm-hmm. The Roman holiday effect.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our mission is to help you understand not just what it is, but maybe why this piece of marble still holds such a, almost magical grip on people. Let's explore.
It really is a captivating object. And just its physical presence, tells a story. You're not looking at some small thing here. This is an ancient Roman marble mask of an impressive sculpture.
Right.
Weighing in at, it's staggering, somewhere between 1,230 and 1,300 kilograms.
Wow, that's almost 2,900 pounds.
Exactly. Huge. And it measures about 1.75 to 1.8 meters across. So pretty big diameter.
Just enormous, isn't it? When you stand there, the scale alone is, striking.
It really is.
And its location now is just as packed with history. For anyone who hasn't seen it, you'll find it against the left wall of the portico of the Santa Maria in Cosmedin Church in Rome.
Right, in the Piazza della Bocca della Verità.
Which itself used to be the ancient Forum Boarium.
Yeah.
Like a really busy Roman cattle market and meeting place.
Hub of activity. And it's also pretty close to where the Cloaca Maxima.
The Great Sewer.
Yeah, ancient Rome's massive sewer system empties into the Tiber River. So it's right there at a sort of crossroads of ancient life.
So much history in one spot.
Definitely. And what's really fascinating when you think about who it's meant to be is that while lots of people immediately think, it's a faun or maybe Jupiter or Pan.
Right, those are the common guesses you hear.
Yeah, but historians, they largely agree, it most likely depicts the sea titan god Oceanus.
Oceanus, okay. Why him specifically?
Well, this interpretation gets a lot of support from details people often miss. Like, there are two really clear dolphin heads sculpted just below the mouth.
Ah, okay. Dolphins, not other things.
Definitely not testicles, as some more colorful theories suggested. You can see the beaks quite clearly. They're dolphins.
Okay, Oceanus makes sense with dolphins. Are there other clues on the sculpture pointing that way?
Absolutely. If you look closer at what people sometimes call horns on the head, they aren't really horns. They're actually stylized crustaceans, like lobsters or crawfish or maybe shrimp.
Ah, interesting.
And that motif was super common in ancient mosaics of Oceanus all around the Mediterranean. An ancient artist doing Oceanus would have known to put those in. So the dolphins and the crustaceans together, that really points strongly to Oceanus. A clear connection to the sea.
That level of detail, even if it was maybe just a functional object originally, is incredible. Makes you wonder, how did this huge piece of marble even get to Rome? Where's it from?
That's another great part of the story, speaks to Rome's reach. This specific marble, it's called Pavonazzetto.
Pavonazzetto.
Yeah, it's distinctive. White marble with these striking purplish red veins. It dates back to the 2nd century AD. And its origin is, far from Rome. It's from quarries in Decimium, Phrygia, Asia Minor.
Which is now?
Modern-day Turkey. Place called Essahisar.
Wow.
And the marble was, carefully transported by land and river to Ephesus, then shipped all the way across the Med to Rome.
Incredible logistics.
Yeah, and apparently even today you can still find fields in Essahisar full of this semi-finished marble just sitting there.
Amazing. So, okay, we've got this colossal ancient artwork, probably Oceanus, brought all the way from Turkey.
Right.
But if its fame now is all about the legend, what do historians actually think its original job was? Because I know there's still some debate, right?
That is precisely the mystery.
Right.
Yeah. Despite being world famous, its original definite purpose, we don't know for sure. But the main theory, the one with the most traction, suggests it was basically a drain cover.
A drain cover? Seriously?
Yeah. Well, think about it. Its shape is concave, right? And the eyes, nostrils, mouth, they're all holes. Perfect for collecting and channeling water. It wouldn't have stuck up from the ground, so water would just flow right in.
Huh. A very elaborate drain cover then. Were the ancient Romans just showing off?
Maybe a bit of both form and function. There are a couple of specific ideas about where it might have been used.
Okay, like what?
One thought is it was a drain cover in the Temple of Hercules Victor nearby.
Yeah.
That temple, like the Pantheon, had an oculus.
A hole in the roof.
Exactly, a big opening letting rain in, so the mouth could have handled that drainage.
Makes sense.
Another idea, maybe a bit grimmer, is that the cattle merchants at the Forum Buarium used it to drain the blood of sacrificed animals. I mean, it was a cattle market, after all.
Right. That fits the location.
Yeah.
So has anyone, more recently tried to nail down the purpose? I think I read something about an engineer, Respighi.
Yeah. Engineer Respighi, back in 1931, he wrote in a journal strongly backing the drain cover theory. He pointed to its conical shape, its thickness, its whole design being ideal for drainage. Even noted the holes could be used to lift it with ropes, maybe for cleaning.
Okay. Sounds pretty practical.
But to your earlier point, some sources do push back a bit. They say, look, this thing is incredibly ornate and weighs, 12 quintals? That's a lot of effort for just a drain cover.
Yeah, seems excessive.
So it suggests maybe it had some other significance too, symbolic, maybe ceremonial, even if it did function as a drain. Ancient cultures often did that, right? Mixed art and utility.
That's a really interesting tension. The practical drain versus the elaborate artwork.
Mm-hmm.
Is there actual physical evidence supporting the drain theory, like how it was placed?
Mm-hmm. There is, actually. The physical evidence is quite good. The mask has these well-made original fixing points.
Yeah.
They strongly suggest it was placed horizontally, flat on the ground, probably held by 2 hooks on the sides. And there's also clear wear and tear, indicating it was lifted up and put back down many times.
So, probably a drain cover, but maybe a very special one.
Pretty much sums it up. Likely a drain, but its fancy design and weight hint at something more than just basic plumbing.
It's just wild to think this icon might have started as essentially plumbing. But somewhere along the way, it became this mythical thing.
Mm-hmm.
How did that happen?
Yeah.
How did it become the lie detector? And were there signs of it being, spooky even before that?
That transformation is really the core of its story, isn't it? And yeah, the Mouth of Truth had these mystical vibes long before the whole lie detector thing took hold. For example, there's this 11th century medieval guide for pilgrims, the Mirabilia Urbis Romae. And in that, it was already believed to be an oracle, like it could give prophecies.
Oracle, wow.
Yeah. And there's even a 12th century German text telling a story about the devil, disguised as the god Mercury, hiding behind the mask and speaking through it to trick Emperor Julian.
Whoa, okay. So it already had this slightly dark, powerful reputation.
Exactly. It was already seen as this object with some kind of eerie power.
It was already a bit spooky. But the hand-biting legend, that's the one everyone knows. How did that start?
That's the one that really exploded. By the 15th century, specifically around 1485, this legend that the mouth would actually bite off a liar's hand, it became super popular.
Used for?
Especially by jealous husbands wanting to test their wives' fidelity.
Mm-hmm.
It became this sort of medieval fidelity test.
Thanks.
Yeah. Some stories even claimed it was built by Virgilio Grammatico, a scholar from the 6th century, known for practicing magic.
So they needed a magical origin story for it.
Exactly. Supposedly he built it specifically for testing spouses.
And this leads us to that really great story, probably the most famous medieval legend about it. The Clever Woman.
Oh, it's a classic. Yeah, a brilliant tale of wit versus superstition. So the story goes, there's this patrician woman, right, noble woman, accused of adultery by her suspicious husband.
And he drags her to the Mouth of Truth.
Of course. But she's smart. She arranges for her lover to show up just before her turn.
Okay.
And he pretends to be completely mad, rushes up, kisses her, embraces her publicly. Big scene.
Creates a distraction.
More than that. So then when it's her turn, she puts her hand in the mouth and swears, completely truthfully, that she has only ever embraced 2 men in her life, her husband, and that poor madman, who was, of course, her lover in disguise.
That's brilliant.
Isn't it? Her hand comes out totally unharmed, and the legend says the mouth was so, offended by her clever trickery that it stopped working after that, never bit anyone again.
What a fantastic story. It says so much, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
About maybe the pressures on women then, or just how people tried to outsmart these systems of control.
It absolutely highlights those pressures, yeah. Especially the focus on female fidelity and the consequences. But it also speaks to this deep human thing, doesn't it? This desire for truth, or maybe justice, even if it's through something supernatural.
Right.
And it shows that Well, human ingenuity often finds a way around rigid rules. Someone always finds a loophole.
Indeed. But it wasn't always just legends and clever tricks, was it? There's a darker side to some of the history here.
Unfortunately, yes. There are some historical accounts suggesting that back in the Middle Ages, judges actually did use the mouth during trials.
Seriously, like for real judgments.
Apparently so. And if someone was found guilty, well, the story goes that a person hidden behind the mask would actually chop off their hand.
Oh my God. That's horrific.
Yeah, a truly grim thought. Adds a very real, brutal edge to the whole legend. Shows you how harsh justice could be back then.
That's terrifying. No wonder people still hesitate today, even knowing it's just stone. You see people pause before putting their hand in.
You really do.
It really speaks to the enduring psychological power of that story, doesn't it? Yeah. Have you actually seen people get genuinely spooked by it?
Oh, definitely. It's such a potent symbol. It taps into that innate fear of being found out, maybe, or just that lingering doubt about our own honesty. I've certainly seen people approach it with real nervousness, and yeah, a few who just can't do it. They back away. That psychological barrier is strong, even centuries later.
It's amazing how deep these stories run. So, okay, we have this ancient, mysterious, legend-filled artifact in Rome.
Mm-hmm.
But what really launched it into global superstardom, beyond the local Roman stories, that had to be the movies, right?
Oh, almost certainly, yeah. While the legends were known for ages, it was the 1953 film Roman Holiday.
Audrey Hepburn and Gregory Peck.
Exactly. That film introduced the Mouth of Truth and its legend to a massive international audience. Suddenly, everyone knew about it.
And that scene, it's just iconic, isn't it? It's one of those movie moments that lives on, separate from the film almost, what made it so special.
It was apparently pure, unscripted magic. Gregory Peck decided, unbeknownst to Audrey Hepburn, to play a prank.
Oh, yeah.
He pretended the mouth actually bit his hand off, hiding his hand up his jacket sleeve.
No way.
Yeah, and Audrey Hepburn's scream, that look of shock and terror, it was completely genuine. She thought it really happened for a second.
Oh.
And the director loved it so much, it was so perfect, they only shot it once. That raw, real reaction made the scene unforgettable.
That's incredible. And that single moment just cemented the tourist tradition, didn't it?
Completely.
Now you see queues of people from all over the world lining up, wanting to stick their hand in, recreate that exact movie moment.
That's right. And this huge fame even led to it spreading culturally. You find full-size copies.
Replicas. Where?
Yeah, like in Alta Vista Gardens in California or the Luxembourg Garden in Paris. And it even inspired those coin-operated fortune teller machines. There's one in San Francisco at the Musée Mécanique.
Oh, I think I've seen pictures of that.
Yeah. It prints out a little fortune card and speaks in this booming voice. And funnily enough, that machine even ended up on Wikipedia next to a still from Roman Holiday. Shows how linked they are now.
It's truly amazing how one film scene can totally reshape how the world sees an ancient object. Now let's shift a bit to the object itself. Some of the more modern changes or maybe misunderstandings, it wasn't exactly found in mint condition, was it?
Oh, far from it. No, the marble disc was actually discovered broken, snapped in two pieces.
Really?
Yeah. And it was repaired, but apparently rather crudely, before they first put it up on the outside wall of the church, Santa Maria in Cosmedin. Later on, in 1632, a church official, Canon Placidi, had it moved to where it is now, inside the portico, presumably for better protection.
Okay, so it's been repaired. And there have been some other additions. Maybe some less than authentic enhancements over the years.
Yes, definitely some later fiddling. For instance, if you look really closely at the upper lip, right where the break was repaired, you can see two pretty crude teeth carved in there.
Teeth. They weren't original.
Almost certainly not. It looks like a playful addition, probably done way later, post-medieval times, by someone just wanting to, lean into the hand-biting legend visually.
Make it look the part.
Exactly. And you'll also spot a fish symbol carved on the top left.
A fish? Why?
That was probably added in medieval times. It's a Christian symbol, likely put there to try and sort of neutralize the perceived demonic power of this pagan idol, Christianize it a bit.
Right, claiming it or taming it. Now, I've also heard these theories about hidden carvings, like wolf heads or other human faces supposedly on the sides. Is there anything to that?
Yeah, that's where you get into more recent misinterpretations, I think. That the supposed wolf heads or other faces, they seem to be largely just, crude marks or maybe damage, possibly exaggerated or even added later, maybe by people trying to trick pilgrims, Pay a little extra, I'll show you the hidden secrets.
Ah, the old tourist trap trick.
Pretty much. Experts who've looked closely say if you mentally remove the obvious later marks and the repair lines, those supposed hidden faces just kind of disappear.
Interesting.
It's a good example of how stories and expectations can literally make us see things that aren't really there or weren't intended originally.
So when we put this all together, what's the takeaway? The mouth of truth, the Boca della Verità. It really stands as this incredible example, doesn't it? Of how an ancient object, maybe something as simple as a drain cover, can just evolve over centuries through stories, myths, even Hollywood, and become this globally known symbol. It's such a mix of real history, legend, and pop culture.
Absolutely. It's a perfect storm of accumulating meaning. Its original purpose almost doesn't matter as much as the stories we've layered onto it over time. Its significance keeps changing.
So maybe as you reflect on the mouth of truth, its possible original purpose and all those amazing legends, maybe consider this. What deeper truths are we looking for, or maybe trying to avoid, when we engage with symbols like this in our own lives? What stories do we choose to believe? And, how do those choices